This is the Louie T Network.
In the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Luke. Thank you for joining me. Week number 6 in the National Football League. Wow, what a game, what a game, what a game. And I dubbed this one my sole survivor pick of the weekend. I had the Cincinnati Bengals winning this game, and I knew it was going to be a tough one. Cincinnati Bengals at home hosting the Carolina Panthers, and the similarities between these two teams were mind-boggling. I mean, they were scary even. And I thought that the difference in this game was the fact that the Cincinnati Bengals were at home. And so I went off the basis and premise that they were embarrassed on Sunday Night Football the week prior, had gotten their first loss of the season. They were going to be motivated by that loss. They were at home. They're a tough team to beat in the jungle. All of these factors, plus the Carolina Panthers, had struggled with teams in that division this season. Put all those things together, and I said the Cincinnati Bengals are going to find a way to win this game. But I had no clue that this game would be so evenly matched that we couldn't even declare a winner at the very end. So let's break this game down and talk about how the Carolina Panthers and Cincinnati Bengals played to a tie. Carolina starts the game with a 15-play, 85-yard drive, including a pass interference, a personal foul on Vontaze Burfict that helped set up a 3-yard KB touchdown. It's 7-0. This was a 9-minute plus drive for the Panthers. They were grinding it out on that first possession. And I'm going to come back to Vontaze Burfict at the end of this breakdown because I got to talk to that guy. He needs some help. So you go to the second quarter now. Panthers up 7-0. Bengals respond with a huge drive of their own and a long, lengthy, methodical march of their own. 12 plays, 69 yards, capped off by a 5-yard Brandon Tate touchdown, who was starting in place of the absent young, fresh, and green, A.J. Green, not present in this game. And I thought that would be to the advantage of the Carolina Panthers to not have to worry about that monster on the outside. And so I thought that would help them, but I didn't think it would be enough for them to come in and come out with a W. But it's 7-all after the Brandon Tate touchdown. And so I'm right now, I said, okay, the Panthers are having success. And I talked about this on the Thursday edition of In the Lab Room last week in week number 6. I talked about the fact that the Panthers needed to turn Cam loose. If they're going to win this season, and I had a question on my supply and demand segment on my Thursday edition of In the Lab Room, which is essentially a Q&A session. You ask questions, I answer them. And one of the questions posed to me was, what do the Carolina Panthers need to do to get back to where they were last season when they were division champs? And to me, the simple answer was turn Cam Newton loose. To me, he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in this league. He doesn't get enough credit for the things that he does for his franchise. Without Cam Newton, this team is just another team in the National Football League. With Cam Newton, this is a force in this league, not just in their division, but in the NFC conference and in the whole entire league. And the fact that they could go into Cincinnati and do what they did speaks volumes about this team and where they are as a franchise right now, because I still think they're lacking in elite level talent, but yet because of the quarterback position and the guy that's under center and the guy that's touching the football on essentially every single play offensively for this football team, they have a shot every game. And I feel like you need to take the shackles off of Cam. Take the shackles off his feet so he can dance, man. Let the man dance. Let him throw the football. Take the shackles off his arms. Take the shackles off his feet. If he's not healthy, then don't play him. But if the man is out there, if he's on the field and he's playing and he's suiting up, then he's healthy enough to take on the load. Give Cam Newton the football and say, hey, Cam, go win us the football game. Sometimes I think the Panthers are too conservative in their approach to things. Cam, he didn't throw a pick this season until like week 4, week 5 of the season. Turn the man loose and let him win football games for this team. That was my message to the Carolina Panther fan that asked the question. I believe it was CFC Coasters or CF Coasters. And so that's the way I felt about that. And so to see him do what he did in this game, I was smiling like a proud papa whose only son finally made it. I mean, I want to see this from Cam Newton every week. And now, do I want to see 17 carries from him? Absolutely not. This is not college football, okay? He's not Dak Prescott. I don't want to see him toting a rock, 22 times, 17 times. He won't last if you're doing that. But make read option prevalent. Make that something that defenses have to contend with. Just in the back of their mind, I don't want him running it like, again, I don't want him being like the Auburn quarterback, Nick Marshall. I don't want him doing that. I don't want him out there, putting his body on the line, 25 times in any given game. But let him throw the football, let him run the football, let him be the man for this Panthers team. And so I thought that he did a good job doing it. I thought the coordinator, Sean McDermott, did a great job of allowing him, or excuse me, not Sean McDermott, but your offensive coordinator did a really good job of allowing him to do that. And so I thought the one thing that could really hurt the Carolina Panthers in this game, though, was the running game. The Panthers, the one thing that is definitely a fact is that the defense is nowhere near what they were a season ago. That I think we can safely say that the defense is nowhere near the level that they played at last season. And I don't think they're going to get back to that because you don't have Greg Hardy. You don't have the same continuity and the same level of talent and the ability to affect the game from the defensive line position that you had a season ago. It's just not the same. Frank Alexander being suspended, and you don't have the same type of depth on that line that you had before. So I think it's pretty safe to say that this is an ordinary defense now in Carolina. So now the offense is going to have to step up. That's why I talked about Cam Newton being a key for this football team. But you've been gashed. If you're the Panthers, you've been gashed all season long by opposing teams' running backs and the running game in particular. Last week, Forte got you through the air. And I thought that if he could do that, then I said, doom, 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 doom. Giovanni Bernard was going to be a problem this week. Yeah, that's what I thought. Giovanni Bernard. It's going to be a problem for this Panthers defense. And that he was on this particular play. Giovanni Bernard, 89-yard touchdown run. The Panthers have been giving up some huge runs. Remember that run against the Steelers with Le'Veon Bell where they were pinned up against their own goal line and he breaks a run. Luke Kuechly is out of position and there you have it. It was about a 70-something yard run. I mean, that's essentially what happened here. And Gio is a smaller back, so once he gets in a hole, he's able to duck down. You lose sight of him. He bounces around, comes out of the other side of that hole, and next thing you know, he's got the speed to win foot races, and that's what he did. Got to the end zone, 89 yards. Biggest run given up on the season by any team in the National Football League. It's 14-7. Cincinnati Bengals up on top after that run. Graham Gano adds a field goal from 39 yards out. It's now 14-10. Cincinnati still up on top. Huge Mohamed Sanu 47-yard gain wiped away by an illegal shift penalty, but the Bengals still add 3 right before the half. It's 17-10. Cincinnati up at the halftime break. This game is going right around schedule, right around where I thought it would be this time in the game. Panthers hanging tough, and the Cincinnati Bengals really trying to pull away from them. I felt like if they could just get a score without allowing the Panthers to score and take this thing to 24 or even 20 and take a double-digit lead, they'd be able to run away from this Panthers team in this game, but they never were able to do that. 11 plays, after 11-play drive on the opening drive of the second half, 11 plays, and they're moving the football. On the 12th play, the Red Rifle misfires badly, and it goes right into the hands of Anton Kaysen, who picks him up and returns it 80 yards down to the Cincinnati Bengals 10-yard line. So that lets you know how far down the field they were. They were deep in Panthers territory. And when you put together a 12-play drive, you're definitely moving the football and you're deep in the other team's territory. And that was a costly pick. And those are the ones that Andy Dalton has to avoid. And that changed the game. For me, that was the play that changed the game because if they get anything, again, field goal, touchdown there, sayonara, Carolina. This game is going to be over because this Cincinnati Bengals team, they're going to protect that 14-point lead. And the offense is still going to score some more points because this defense isn't what they used to be. So that was a huge play. That play play right there kept this Panthers team in the football game, which led to a Fozzie Whitaker 4-yard touchdown run. I thought Fozzie Whitaker was actually pretty solid in this game. And let me say one more thing. Never, ever trust a man who calls himself Fozzie. Never. I don't care if it's his real name. I don't care if it's a nickname. Never trust a man that calls himself Fozzie. So right there, you got a dangerous running back because his name is Fozzie. I don't know what that means. Take it for what it's worth. So it's 17 all in this game now. Terrence Newman with a pass interference. Then Jericho Cotchery with a nice catch and run sets up a 12-yard. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's number 1. And Cam is his name. Super Cam. Super Cam touchdown. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. 12 yards out. Make the defense respect the wheels, man. Make the defense respect the wheels, man. You got them. Why not use them? And that's what I'm talking about. Cam is the total package. He can fling it with the best of them. He can also use his legs. Hasn't done that, and I don't know if that's because of the rib injury or because of the ankle surgery or a combination of both. We know Cam is pretty banged up right now. He's dealing with the thumb. He's dealing with the ribs. He's dealing with the ankle. So I know there's a number of injuries and ailments that he's kind of playing through right now. But look, if you're on the field, I need it. I need it. And this Panthers defense, not the same group. So the offense is going to have to pick it up. Cam, you're going to have to do a little bit more. I'm putting more on your plate. I need you to eat it up there. And on that run, that let me know that's the type of day it's going to be for Cam today. He's going to run the football on these clowns, and he's throwing the football, making it work. I love it. It's now 24-17. This is now the lead of the Carolina Panthers in this football game. Andy Dalton overthrows intended receiver on the play, and it goes right to Roman Harper. And after that, KB has a touchdown nullified because of offensive pass interference. And that's the end of the third quarter. Excuse me. Panthers up 24-17. So that was a huge play. Having that pass interference called on KB, taking that touchdown off the board, because I felt the same way about that particular possession that I felt about the Cincinnati Bengals coming out of the halftime break. Any points there, and you take a double-digit lead, and the game's over. And I felt like if Carolina scores a touchdown, or even a field goal on this possession, go up 10, go up 14, they got the Cincinnati Bengals right where they want them. And that's where you're at that point in the game where it's mercy, 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 mercy. Remember that game? That's where it would have been. Except you get the OPI, then you move it back, and then Graham Gano, as we're in the fourth quarter now, uncharacteristically misses a chippy. That's not like Graham. I'm not used to seeing Graham miss field goals. And so all of a sudden, you leave that door slightly ajar. That door is slightly open for the Cincinnati Bengals. Despite Andy Dalton having some sketchy play in the second half, the door is still slightly ajar. So now Mohamed Sanu for 22, then Sanu making it do what it do with a 34-yard touchdown, and just like that, we all nodded back up at 24. We're right back where we started at, back at 0. Everybody's tied up. Start all over again. So Panthers are moving the football down the field, and then they run into a 4th and 2 situation where KB comes up huge. And for anybody wondering, he's the best rookie receiver in the league right now, hands down. There's not a discussion to be had. And if there were a Rookie of the Year award to be given out on the offensive side of football, I think right now it's pretty safe to say he would be the recipient if he keeps up the way that he's been playing. And I don't see why not, because truth be told, he's the best option they have at receiver. And moving forward, he's going to be the best option they have. He's a star in the making, and they got to get him the football. And so I expect him to win Rookie of the Year as the offensive rookie of the year in the National Football League, because this kid is special. And I've been yelling that since, 2 years ago when he was at Florida State, that he was going to be this type of player. And I've been pleasantly surprised that he's not dropping the football more. That's the only thing. I expected him to come with some dropsies here and there. He's had a couple of drops, but not as many as I was expecting from him. His hands have been dynamite. And on this 4th and 2 that I talked about on that last possession, that was a hell of a catch. I mean, Cam threw a rocket ball. I mean, a fastball, 98 miles an hour on the radar gun, and he snagged it out of the air. So this kid has the complete package. And so That was a tough one. And so now you go 16 yards. Grego! Touchdown on the throwback. Cam rolls out, goes across the field, throws it back across the field to Grego, who walks into the end zone. It's now 31-24. Panthers back on top. The ensuing kickoff. The cornerback, formerly known as Pac-Man, returns the kick 98 yards down to the 2-yard line where Jeremy Hill gets in and then gives us the icky shuffle. Ha! And it's tied up at 31. So these teams just can't shake each other. Cam is then picked off. He picked the worst time in the game to throw his first INT of the game. And Reggie Nelson's able to scoop it up off the carpet and return it into Carolina Panthers territory where Mike Nugent is able to add a field goal after a Jeremy Hill touchdown is negated by a penalty. So both teams struggling with penalties in this game, costing them in huge ways. And so now it's 34-31, Cincinnati up in this game. Cam responds with an 11-play drive in which Emmanuel Lemure is hurt at the end of the game when the Panthers had no timeouts remaining and only 6 ticks left on the clock. He needs to find a way to get up. And again, you say that, but we don't know the extent of his injury. And it's easier for us to say that in hindsight. You got to get up, you got to get up. We said the same thing about Mike Evans in that St. Louis Tampa Bay game earlier this season. You got to get up, you got to get up. But hell, if you're hurt, you're not thinking about getting up. You're not thinking about saving a timeout or not being able to allow the other team to stop the clock. You're thinking, man, I'm hurt. I can't get up. So you would have loved to have seen him find a way to limp off the field or something, but he couldn't do it. And so that stopped the clock, allowed the Panthers to set up, get up and spike the football with 6 ticks left to kick the game-time field goal, and Gano knocks it home. We're all knotted up at 34. Let's play some extra frames, shall we? Let's go to overtime. And in overtime, Cincinnati Bengals win the toss, take the football down the field, 12 plays into overtime. They get in the field goal range while using up 7 minutes and 20 seconds of the overtime clock. Can't get in the end zone, however. Have to settle for a field goal. It's now 37-34. Panthers then answer with an 11-play drive of their own, and they eat up 5 minutes and 16 seconds of the overtime clock. So you're dealing with limited time left on the clock. And their drive was aided by a huge Vontaze Burfict illegal contact penalty. And there was going to be a TD. We all know what the riverboat gambler Ron Rivera was going to do. It was going to be 4th and 1. You know he was going to go for it. And it was going to be a quarterback sneak to Cam. Who would have known? Of course we would have known it would have been a quarterback sneak to Cam, and they wouldn't have been able to stop it. Now, because of that penalty, they didn't even have to worry about it. It was an automatic first down. Let's talk about Vontaze Burfict for a second now. Did you see the nonsense that he did to Greg Olsen on the touchdown where he twisted his ankle? Both Greg Olsen and Cam Newton have been dealing with ankle injuries. And I don't know if that resonated with Vontaze Burfict or not. I think he was just being an ass is what I think he was doing. And he grabbed him by his ankle as he was getting into the end zone. And that's how he was trying to bring him down. And as he got him down, even though it was a touchdown, he kept hold of his ankle and then twisted it. And come on, man, what are you doing? I mean, that's so Bush League, man. Now, Greg Olsen said after the game, I would love to see him suspended for that. You know what? I'm not even opposed to that. That was so Bush League, and that was so immature. And he could have actually hurt Greg Olsen. That was so blatant. And that if they suspended him for a game, I wouldn't even be mad at that. I think that would actually be some justified punishment right there because that was so egregious. I can't believe he did that. And again, man, the eye in the sky is always watching. You can't get away with nothing. Unless you're in a pile where, you know, and anything happens in those scrums when the ball's on the ground and guys are diving in, people are getting poked in the eye and all kinds of nonsense are going on in those piles. This wasn't that. This was out in the open. You know, guy scored a touchdown, and he just had the audacity to do that. Can't believe he did that. So I don't know what's coming his way. If it's just going to be a fine, if they're going to slap him on his wrist. I'd love to see him have to sit down for a game because that was nonsense. So either way, Panthers get a field goal to tie this thing back up at 37. And Ron Rivera, having used both of his timeouts, one on the Cincinnati possession and one on his possession of his own, Don't have any timeouts left. And with the Cincinnati Bengals getting the football with just about 2 minutes left in this game, it's a situation where, hey, either we win the game or nobody wins the game, which is the way you handle this. And Cincinnati moves the football down the field, including a James Wright 24-yard catch and out of bounds to stop the clock with 30 at the Carolina Panthers 31-yard line. Tack on a Charles Johnson personal foul, blow to the head of a quarterback, which he really just grabbed his face mask, so it should have been a face mask penalty. But either way, so personal foul penalty, you tack that on. Now you're talking about the 16-yard line of the Panthers with 31 seconds to go. Now this is where the game was lost, right here. Marvin Lewis went soft on me, and I can't respect this. And they deserve to miss this field goal because, okay, so you're at the 16-yard line. Yeah, NFL kickers are supposed to make, what is that? Yeah, 42-yard field goal, 39-yard field goal. You're supposed to be able to make a 40-yard, 39-yard field goal. I get it. I understand. However, you got 31 seconds and a timeout. Why aren't you getting closer? Hell, run the ball once. That's fine. Run the ball one time. I would have been cool with that. Would have loved to have seen an out maybe from Andy Dalton. Quick out, pick up 5 yards, get out of bounds maybe. But, okay, so you don't want to throw the football. Maybe something happens, a tip pass, anything. I get it. Run it then. But to just kneel down in the middle of the field and lose another 2 yards in the process, and just to center it, I'm not with that, man. I'm not with that at all. And so on comes Mike Nugent with 3 seconds left to win the game. And, of course, he pushes the field goal to the right. No good. And the game is a tie. A tie? What do you mean it's a tie? What am I supposed to tell my son? Dad, who won the game? Okay, son. Neither one of these teams won. They played so well that both of them won. Both of them get juice boxes and chips and a trophy. Everybody wins. No, that's not how this is supposed to go. Somebody has to be the winner. This isn't how it's supposed. That's why I don't watch hockey. That's why I don't watch soccer. Because somebody's got to win. This is so un-American. Somebody needs to win. I hate ties. And now we got to deal with that stinking extra number at the end. Shame on both of these teams. But you know what? When I watched this game over, you know what I said to myself? This game deserved to be a tie. You know why it deserved to be a tie? Because both of these teams were so equally matched. You look at it and you say to yourself, okay, 2 division leaders, both coming into the game with 3 wins. The Panthers with 2 losses, Cincinnati only with 1, but they only played 4 games coming into this game because they had a bye week. So 2 3-win teams, both leading their respective divisions. Both of these teams won their division a season ago. Both of these teams are predicated off of their defense, which were non-existent in this particular game. Both of these teams have quarterbacks that were drafted in the 2011 draft. In the game now, just talking about this particular game, both of these teams had touchdowns called back. You had the KB touchdown called back for OPI, and then you had the Jeremy Hill touchdown called back for a penalty on one of the offensive linemen. So you had touchdowns called back. Both field goal kickers missed a kick throughout the duration of the game. You had Graham Gano missing one in the start of the 4th quarter, and you had Nugent missing that final kick to send this game off as a tie. So this was an evenly matched game. Both quarterbacks made bad mistakes with interceptions at some point in the game. This was an evenly matched game, and it deserved to be a tie. This was drawn right down the middle, but again, no, not a tie. I feel like a 3-year-old that didn't just get his way. No. Let Vontaze Burfict and Luke Kuechly fight it out to the death. No, that's not right. It's a tie. Panthers lead the game at 3-2-1. Bengals lead the game at 3-1-1. I'm sick to my stomach. We're talking about a tie here, folks. Look, was I wrong about this game? Yep, I was wrong because I said the Panthers were going to lose. Was I right about this game? Yep, I was right because the Bengals, they didn't lose, but they didn't win. And you know what happens with ties? That's what happens. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong. That's why you can't have ties. Anyway, that's going to do it for Bengals and Panthers. I lost my train of thought. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down week number 6 in the National Football League. You gotta be kidding me. It's a tie? Really? It's a tie? It's so un-American. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.